Hello, I'm Matthew. I'm the lead pastor here at Cedar Ridge. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for our fourth Sunday of Advent. It's very close to Christmas now, and I'm sure we're all getting really excited, and rightly so. Our theme today is joy, and that video clip we just saw was full of joy. It comes from the Disney movie A Christmas Carol, which is based on the novella, the book by Charles Dickens. And Scrooge wakes up in the morning and is full of joy because he has this opportunity to change. He's had visitations from the spirit of Christmas past, present, and yet to come, and it's transformed him, and he's so happy because he gets this second chance at his life. We've been tracking with that book throughout Advent, and in some respects, because it's such a famous story, we all probably know the ending. So maybe the suspense of the ending is lost on us unless it's the first time we're watching it or reading it. But if you were watching it or reading it for the first time, throughout the story, you'd be wondering, is Scrooge going to change? Is he going to get a second chance? Is this the end? Is this judgment? Like he's just been told what a bad person he is, what a mean, selfish person he is, and that's the point of the book. Is Tiny Tim going to survive? Is the future going to be more positive as a result of this encounter with the various spirits, or is Scrooge just going to carry on in the same way? And the joy of the story really is in the relief, I think, we feel when Scrooge finally wakes up and is given this second chance. He realizes that he's back in real life, if you like. But not only that, he's changed. He's learned a lesson. He's not just grateful, oh, thank goodness that wasn't real. He's actually thinking, okay, I don't know what that was about. Was that a dream? Was that a vision? But either way, I need a change. I want to be a different person. And we see him live that out just briefly in the rest of the clip there. I think we can all relate to that, and it kind of resonates with us because we all want to believe that we can change. We all want to believe that others can change, that the world can change, but perhaps especially that we can change, because there's a little bit of Scrooge in all of us. We all have our dark sides. We all have parts of our lives that are kind of mean and unkind and miserable at times. We often make excuses for ourselves, or we just sort of hide those parts of our lives away. Scrooge was constantly making excuses for why he was so mean. He thought it was the right approach to life. But deep down, he wasn't happy. And I think the same for us with those dark parts of our lives. Deep down, we're just not happy. We want to change, but we don't know how to change. We don't even know if it's possible. And so we see something like A Christmas Carol, that story, and it gives us hope that change is possible. And Christmas, of course, is this celebration about change. It's a celebration of the fact that change is possible. God comes into our lives. God comes into the world and shows us a different way of living. And it's as though God is becoming human to show us how love and kindness and goodness looks like in human skin. It's as though God is becoming human to show us how to be human. And by becoming human, God is actually showing us that we can be like God. We can be good. We can be kind. We can be loving. And we can sort of have the family trait, if you like, of God. We read a little bit earlier in the service about Jesus being the light coming into the world. And I want to read another few verses from near that passage. It's in the first chapter of the book of John, John's Gospel. And so in that same section, I'm going to read some other verses. Let's listen to those. Here's what it says. He came to the world that was his own, but his own people did not accept him. But to all who did accept him and believe in him, he gave the right to become children of God. They did not become his children in any human way, by any human parents or human desire. They were born of God. The Word became a human and lived among us. We saw his glory, the glory that belongs to the only Son of the Father, and he was full of grace and truth. So here we have the reality that God coming into the world means that we get a chance to be reborn. We become God's children in this spiritual way. And because of that, we bear the traits of God. It's like a family. So, you think of we as children are like our parents. Our children are like us if we are parents. We bear a family resemblance. And what the writer of John here is saying is that because of Jesus becoming human, we get to be part of this divine family, this family of God. And we get to behave and look and act like Jesus did. That's the miracle of Christmas, that we can be different, that we can live these good, wholesome, healthy, loving, kind, positive lives. The kind of life that Scrooge always wanted to live. And when he wakes up on that Christmas morning, finally realizes it's possible to live. Jesus talks about this family trait elsewhere. If we look in Matthew's gospel, again, in chapter 5 there, we'll hear him talk about being family with God. Here's what it says. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies. Pray for those who hurt you. If you do this, you will be true children of your Father in heaven. He causes the sun to rise on good people and on evil people, and he sends rain to those who do right and to those who do wrong. So what we're hearing here is that Jesus is saying, not only are you accepted as God's children, but you need to accept others too, because God doesn't show partiality. God loves everybody. And so we need to love everybody. We need to love even the people we find difficult to love. And if you think about it, we all have what we might call Scrooges in our own lives, right? We have people who we feel are unkind, maybe even despicable, sort of hateful people who we find it hard to like, people who maybe we couldn't possibly imagine them changing, people that we might have given up on. And Christmas is a celebration that change is possible. So Christmas is a time when we remember, let's not give up on anybody. Let's never stop loving, no matter how difficult that may be, because God has never given up on us. God always loves us, always completely accepts us. We are God's children. We are God's family. And everybody else can belong too. Everybody else is a child of God or a potential child of God, just like Scrooge. We probably wouldn't have looked at Scrooge at the beginning of the story and thought, oh, there's somebody who can change. I mean, he didn't even seem like he wanted to change. Change almost seemed impossible, I would say. And yet, here at the end of the story, we have this amazing change. Anything is possible. Anything with God is possible. So we're going to take communion together now, and we're going to eat some bread and drink some wine or some fruit juice. And communion is like a meal. It's a symbolic meal where we're eating and drinking together. And when we have a meal together with people, it's a sign of friendship, it's a sign of acceptance. Certainly it was very much that case in Jesus' day, but I think it's still true in our day. It's a sign of hospitality when we have people over for dinner or when we eat with others. And obviously we're less able to do that at the moment because of all the restrictions, but we'll get back to doing that sometime. And we're going to do that right now by eating communion together. So we're going to eat the bread and we're going to drink some wine or some juice. And as we think about the bread, and I've some bread here, which I'm going to break a little piece off to eat in a second. But as we think about the bread, let's think about we have come to dinner with Jesus. We've come to this meal. And really, we're saying to Jesus, we've come for dinner, if you will have us. And maybe we can personally ask that a question or say, will you have us? Will you have me? And Jesus says, yes. As we eat the bread, Jesus is saying, yes, of course, I love you, I accept you, you're mine. And that is an amazing thing. That's worth celebrating, no matter who we are, no matter what we've done, no matter what our past is, no matter what our future is, no matter what we're like right now. Jesus loves us and accepts us. And this meal is a celebration of that. That's something to be joyful about. So let's eat together. Now, we're going to drink the wine together now. So when we think about this part of the meal, let's think about the flip side of it. Jesus comes as a baby, vulnerable. He doesn't come to us in this strong position. He's completely dependent on us accepting him, receiving him. And as we read a little bit earlier, in John's Gospel, chapter 1, it says that not everybody did accept him. Not everybody did receive him. But we get the chance to receive him. We get the chance to accept Jesus. We get the chance to say yes to Jesus and to say, we want to follow you. We want to be like you. We want to follow your way of love. We want to be different. We want to change. We want to invite you to change us. So as we drink this wine, let's imagine that Jesus is actually saying to us, I've come for dinner, if you will have me. And as we drink the wine, we're saying, yes, we will have you. We receive you. We welcome you as our friend together right now. So let's drink the wine and accept Jesus. So before we sing our last carol together, we're going to just look at the next part in the clip from A Christmas Carol, and we'll see how Scrooge is out on the streets expressing joy and living this new kind of life which he's inherited. So let's watch the clip now.